All right, welcome back everyone to today's explainer. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through this one because honestly, it's one of the most intense edge of your seat debates in our entire historical record. We are traveling back to a moment of supreme drama. I mean, picture this, one brave individual standing totally alone, going toe-to-toe with the most powerful beings in existence just to argue for what's right. Imagine standing in this massive, glowing hall, completely surrounded by the ultimate highest authorities of the universe, and actually having the guts to tell them, hey, your judgment, it's flawed. Well, today, we're not just going to talk about it, we are stepping directly into that hall. We're going to put ourselves right in the shoes of our protagonist, Ilyan Marr. We're going to feel exactly what he felt and see exactly what he saw as he walked up to that podium to literally change history. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this by thinking about a situation you've probably, actually experienced yourself. Imagine this, all right? One student, way in the back of your classroom, is throwing paper airplanes, making weird noises, just causing a total disruption. Your teacher gets so frustrated that they just snap and cancel recess for the entire class. So what do you think? Is it fair to punish absolutely everyone for that one single student's mistake? You'd probably say, absolutely not. No way. It feels deeply, deeply unfair, doesn't it? Well, I want you to hold on to that exact feeling of injustice. Keep it firmly in your mind, because that very idea is at the absolute heart of the epic historical event we're breaking down today.
Now, to truly appreciate what Ilyan Marr was up against here, we kind of need to understand the immense power dynamics at play. And it's funny, if you notice, this cosmic world actually resembles your own a lot more than you'd think. On one hand, we've got the angelic hierarchies and the High Council. These guys are the absolute top-tier, undisputed authorities of the universe. On the other hand, think about your local school system and the principal's office, right? Just like a school has a principal, maybe some vice principals, and teachers who manage the whole student body. Well, this angelic hierarchy functions as the ultimate administration over all angels, all realms, the whole shebang. So when severe trouble starts brewing, it's this high council that has to step in and decide how to hand out discipline. And trust me, a massive, unprecedented disciplinary issue was brewing.
So let's look at how this builds into a terrifying global crisis, because things escalated incredibly quickly. Step 1. A fallen angel named Valac starts encouraging a disruptive faction. You can think of Valac as the instigator. He's the leader of this highly dangerous troublemaking clique. Step 2. This isn't just a minor rebellion in the hallways. Valac's faction stirs up massive unrest, and I mean it spreads like absolute wildfire across the entire world. We're talking total global chaos. The stakes were astronomical. So step 3, the High Council looks at the spreading disaster and, well, they panic. Their immediate knee-jerk reaction, they actually sit down and consider condemning every single angel and every single demon. Because of the terrible actions of a few bad apples, this cosmic administration is literally ready to cancel recess for the entire universe. They were right on the verge of handing down a massive, sweeping group punishment.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive ethical dilemma that was facing the council. It really boils down to two things. On one hand, we have individual accountability. This means judging someone solely, and I mean solely, by their own personal actions. If you threw the paper airplane, only you get detention. That's fair, right? But on the other hand, we have collective group punishment. That's judging someone simply by their origin or the group they happen to belong to. And here's the crazy part. The highest ranks of the angelic hierarchy, they were leaning heavily toward this collective punishment. They were just so overwhelmed and frustrated by the chaos Valac caused that they were ready to declare all angels and all demons as completely untrustworthy. They were about to punish the innocent right alongside the guilty simply because of the group they were born into.
But then, the heavy doors to the Great Hall open. I want you to put yourself directly in Ilyan Marr's shoes for a second.
Imagine walking right up to the supreme, most powerful beings in existence. You're basically facing down the ultimate universal school board. The tension in that room, it would have been thick enough to cut with a sword. Imagine standing there, looking way up at their glowing wings, hearing their booming voices echoing, and just thinking to yourself, I will not be intimidated. Because from Ilyan's perspective, an absolute injustice was about to happen, and staying silent, that simply wasn't an option. So he stepped forward. He took a bold, uncompromising stance as the ultimate defender of the innocent, feeling the literal weight of the entire universe resting right on his shoulders.
I want you to listen really closely to the core of Ilyan's argument as he stood his ground. Looking straight up at the High Council, he declared with absolute conviction, responsibility belongs to those who chose corruption, not to an entire order. Wow. Let that sink in for just a moment. In his mind, he was arguing that guilt is an active choice. It's not a condition of birth. An individual's origins do absolutely not dictate their guilt. He was saying, look, just because a specific faction of fallen angels chose the path of corruption, it does not mean the entire order of angels, or the entire order of demons, for that matter, is inherently bad. Through Ilyan's eyes, the demand was incredibly simple. The council must use their immense wisdom to judge the individuals, not the labels.
But from Ilyan's position at the podium, he knew a nice philosophical argument just wasn't going to be enough. He had to turn the spotlight right back on the judges themselves. Feeling this massive surge of courage, he boldly challenged the leaders to acknowledge their very own failures. He pointed out that if you look across all realms, it is individuals who abuse power for selfish ends. Whether it's human individuals, earth masters, or certain demons, corruption is everywhere. And then, and this is the most shocking part of all, he looked them in the eye and reminded the High Council that even their own council leaders have failures. I mean, what an incredibly dangerous move. He was essentially telling the ultimate administration to go look in a mirror before they cast this wide net of punishment. He proved right then and there that corruption is a poor choice made by individuals everywhere, not some automatic trait of any specific group.
Now, I want to take a brief pause here. We're going to put ourselves back in that grand hall, but this time, let's switch seats. What would you say if you were sitting on that High Council? Seriously, think about it. You have just been called out by Ilyan Marr in front of literally everyone. Your initial reaction, to punish everyone, has just been totally exposed as hypocritical. So do you get defensive? Do you punish Ilyan for his disrespect? Or do you take a deep breath, listen to his undeniable logic, and realize he might actually be right? Take a few seconds to really think about how you would react to being challenged so directly, especially when you're the one in a position of ultimate authority.
Well, fortunately for all the realms, our historical records show that the council actually chose wisdom over pride. Now, the debate that followed Ilyan's impassioned speech was fierce, make no mistake. There was a lot of intense, heated arguing going on, but it was honest. Ultimately, Ilyan's logical solution was simply too strong to ignore, and his brave stance actually won the day. The result was this beautiful, powerful new covenant. The highest authorities made a renewed commitment to judge each and every being strictly by their actions, completely ignoring their origin. It was a monumental victory for fairness, for accountability, and for justice. The universe's administration finally agreed. There would be absolutely no more punishing the whole class for one student's mistake.
But our explainer doesn't end on a completely happy note. Actually, scratch that. It takes a pretty dark turn. Because while the council was so heavily focused on this fierce debate and forging their brand new covenant, they entirely missed something crucial happening right in the shadows. Completely unknown to the High Council, someone else was watching. Belial. Belial was secretly observing this whole ordeal. And get this, he wasn't upset by Valac's unrest at all. No, in fact, he welcomed the growing tension. He was using this global chaos as a massive distraction, quietly preparing an even greater test for every single power involved. The council, they thought the crisis was finally over, but the true danger was really just beginning to stir in the darkness.
And that, my friends, brings us to the end of today's journey into the archives. As you leave this explainer and head back into your own classrooms and really just your own lives, I want you to take these 3 big critical thinking questions with you. First up, when, if ever, is group punishment actually justified? Is there ever a real valid scenario where the whole class should lose recess? Second, based on Ilyan's bold challenge to the council, how can leaders avoid being hypocritical when they're making the rules? And finally, a little question for your imaginations. What do you think Belial's greater test is going to be? I highly encourage you to discuss these with your friends, your classmates, your teachers, whoever. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible slice of history with me today. Keep asking those great questions, stay curious, and I will see you next time.